The Illuminati prefer to call the American and the world citizen the goyim, a term which means the cattle. The Rockefellers use their money to seize control of the American centers of teacher training, our universities and colleges. They also spent millions of dollars on rewriting history books and creating textbooks that undermine patriotism and free enterprise. Among a series of school textbooks produced by Rockefeller grants was one called Building America. These books promoted Marxist propaganda to the extent that the California legislature refused to appropriate money for them. The Rockefeller Foundation has also worked through secondary foundations and think tanks to influence education and to shape public opinion. They have financed the production of hundreds of reports and studies that subtly promote a globalistic and socialistic view of society. These findings are then quoted in textbooks and identified by the media as fact. In reality, most think tanks or news-hour political discussion groups are just propaganda divisions of the Rockefellers' establishment, generating tainted, deceptive data. The Illuminati's influence in our schools and lock on the public education system is nearly complete. This fact is documented by the vast number of university and college presidents that are members of the Council on Foreign Relations. However, the United States does rank number one in a related category. In 1988, the United States was the world's leader in producing daily newspapers, which leads directly to the deception of the mass media. Before we take a look at the media, let's learn a valuable lesson from history. In the 1930s, an entire nation rallied for and supported Adolf Hitler. The people of Germany thought Adolf was their savior, pulling them out of the worst oppression Germany had ever known. Remember the Illuminati's motto, order ab chaos, order out of chaos. You might ask, how did this happen? Well, the media at that time used propaganda to deceive and mislead an entire nation. Hopefully we as a nation have learned this lesson before history repeats itself again. The Illuminati control the media by either direct ownership or by using advertising dollars like a carrot, leading the donkey wherever they want it to go. Once again, big money is used to pull the puppet strings. Let's now take a look at the truth behind some past media events. War and drugs are the two biggest businesses in the world, and both have always been under full Illuminati control. In 1993, the Panama Deception won the Academy Award for Best Documentary. This video exposes the full collaboration of the media in covering up what really happened in Panama in 1989. This video clearly documents that George Bush, director of the CIA, was fully aware of Manuel Noriega's involvement in drug trafficking before the CIA performed a coup d'etat to install Noriega into power. Once Noriega refused to cooperate with the illegal U.S. demands imposed on Panama, George Bush then violated the Geneva Convention and illegally invaded Panama. The United States military killed over 4,000 innocent Panamanian civilians in a brutal, savage surprise attack on December 20th, 1989. The United States media totally lied to America regarding the true facts, and we bought it. To get the full story and all the facts, order a copy of the Panama Deception for yourself. Here are a few clips.
And the fact that it would cause tremendous peripheral damage to innocent civilians on a wide scale, was not of concern in the planning.
What we intended to do was to reduce collateral damage.
I don't know what that means, collateral.
Collateral damage? That means if the target is right here, you're trying not to have damage to other places. You're trying to have damage to a specific target because that's a military target, and you're trying to minimize damage outside of the military target. And they worked.
My God, we were sending in artillery and airstrikes against a very heavily populated urban area. There was absolutely no question that there were going to be immense numbers of civilian casualties.
than 60 Panamanians are reported to have died in that big...
More than 50 Panamanians were killed. A doctor at a government hospital in Panama City.
Casualties, but we've only had really one report on them throughout the day, so we don't know how extensive they are.
We're getting, I mean, there's no reason to doubt the reports, obviously, that we are getting from the Pentagon, and yet all the information that we are getting from the Pentagon seems to conflict with all the eyewitness information that we're able to get out of Panama City.
And we have another Panama.
How many people were killed in Panama, and who were they? These questions may never be answered because the United States military undertook elaborate efforts to conceal the number of dead, how they died, and the location of their bodies. The National Human Rights Commission of Panama interviewed hundreds of people in an effort to determine how many had died.
What we have is different testimonies that help us to arrive to the conclusion that for sure there were more than 4,000 people who died.
The media was so cooperative with the government because the media are owned by the same interests that are being defended in Central America by that government policy. The media are not close to corporate America. They're not favorable to corporate America. They are corporate America. They're an integral part of corporate America.
We are a plutocracy. We ought to face it. A country in which wealth controls. It may be true of all countries, more or less, but it's uniquely true of ours because of our materialism and the concentration of wealth here. Even our democratic processes are hardly that because money dominates politics, and we know it. And through politics, it dominates government, and it dominates the media. We really need desperately to find new ways to hear independent voices and points of view. It's the only way we're going to find the truth.
The truth about the invasion of Panama remains hidden from most Americans. Those who have studied the official accounts have discovered many contradictions and have arrived at disturbing conclusions. The Bush administration claimed that another reason for the invasion was to remove Noriega in order to stem the flow of drugs into the United States. But according to a U.S. General Accounting Office report, cocaine traffic through Panama may have doubled in the 2 years following the invasion. There is also considerable evidence that key members of Panama's new government, including President Endara, have been tied to the drug trade through banks and front companies that launder drug money.
George Bush, may his children be spared what my daughter is being subjected to. My daughter who doesn't want to live. May his generation be spared what our generation is living through. He should ask God for forgiveness for all the damage caused to many families down here.
One year ago, the people of Panama lived in fear under the thumb of a dictator. Today, democracy is restored. Panama is free.
You've probably heard the term whitewater, but what the heck is it all about anyway? According to the media, the poor Clintons are the victims of a bad business deal. The Clinton Chronicles is a must-see for every American that wants to know the truth. This video fully and accurately documents that our president, Bill Clinton, as governor of Arkansas, participated in a conspiracy to cover up the truth about his involvement in massive cocaine smuggling, money laundering, obstruction of justice, theft of millions of taxpayer dollars, sexual harassment, and murder, just to mention a few of his proven crimes.